After carefully reviewing our options and with no negotiated solution in sight, we have concluded that it would be irresponsible of this government to allow a labour disruption like this to put Ontario families, seniors and businesses at risk. This is why this afternoon we are introducing legislation to send this dispute to arbitration and to protect Ontario. If passed, this legislation will prohibit and require the termination of any strikes or lockouts between OPG and the Power Workers Union for this current round of bargaining. This will prevent the effective shutdown of as much as half of Ontario's electricity system. In this situation, the two parties are both deadlocked. There was no resolution in sight. This is a critical situation that the power and electricity grid is not going to be continuous. We're talking wintertime, we're talking affecting all Ontarians, and we needed to take action so that, and the action is that both parties get back to the table with the back to work legislation so that they can both negotiate.
Well, there's no question we're on the clock, and this is a very serious matter. Essential service does not and has not formed any part of either the legislation or our discussions. We're focused on creating a fair mechanism through arbitration as a result of this legislation to make sure that Ontario's electricity supply continues uninterrupted. And that's the steps in the simplest terms that we're going to take right now.
I don't think people are surprised that I do not support stripping people of their charter rights. I mean, we just went through this with other people's charter rights when it came to the notwithstanding clause being invoked by this government. I don't support that, but I certainly don't support it when it appears that the government didn't even try to resolve this problem. In fact, they threatened the back to work legislation before the strike had even begun. In other words, throwing up their hands and saying, we have no desire whatsoever as a government to use any tools that we have at hand to try to force a settlement, or to try to get a settlement rather, to try to get the OPG to perhaps relook at its offer, to have the government perhaps intervene in the process and ensure that arbitration, for example, took place. None of these things occurred, and instead they went straight to the biggest hammer available, which is back to work legislation. So again, they're going to get their legislation this week. It'll pass by Thursday. There will be no rolling blackouts through Christmas. People will have lights on their trees, but what they will still have is a premier that makes things up on the fly and that tries to scaremonger folks just as they're wrapping their Christmas gifts and putting under the tree.